in science or outside science we generalize, and some generalizations are straightforward in that we know about certain number of events that or things that they are so, and we give a reasoning and believe that not only these things are so, but all things are so. When you don't make any other change, you say that what we know about few things or many things, we believe that that is the same sentence without any change is true for all things. That generalization is called inductive reasoning, and that is the topic of this lecture. And generalization, the kind of generalization in the inductive reasonings can be good or bad. And the good means maybe there are more chances of being true in general, or you can say more probable. I mean, this is the topic we have to discuss, whether a good definition is this or whatever, or else. And in preparation for the next lecture, which is on what is scientific method, in this lecture we have to talk about, we have to compare scientific statement with what are called accidental regularities, and I have to introduce what accidental regularities are with that. And now I think I better go to the actual content. Okay, if you want to learn through example, then I have given you example of generalization, and these generalizations are straightforward generalization. They are not like scientific theories, which are comprehensive scientific theory, which assumes, which introduce new concepts or so. No, if it is new concept, then that is not inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is that you know about a few men, they are mortal, even if you don't know about mortal, but you say about all. So when generalized to all, but you do not make any other change, that is exampled by, for example, this sentence: all men are mortal. And if you remember, I try to help you in recalling that in the last lecture I said that that was on logic, and that was our major premise in that all men are mortal. And that means at that moment I didn't need anything about the meaning of the word mortal, but now I need. Mortal means everyone has to die, and this was used for Socrates. Now, if Socrates is alive, can you say all men are mortal? Everyone has to die when there is one person who has not died. So you can see that logic only connects what we assume to be true, but whether it is actually true or not, we have to see. And in this case, all men are mortal. If you ask me what is this actually true or not, that I can first let me label it, and then I introduce the terminology, and then I tell you whether it's true or not. So you have to go stepwise. And in stepwise thinking, you have to note that whether it's there's something called universal statements. Sometimes they are explicitly contain the word all, and sometimes the word is different, but the meaning is universal. For example, say every metal expands on it, and sometimes you say anything which is released falls to the ground, or you say a thing which is heavy and it released and it falls to the ground. So there can be a variety of words, but all they mean in the meaning, they are about everything, whether the word is all or not. Now these generalizations are generalizations to universal statements, and these are, the question is, are these proved? Here, as I said, that if one man is alive, is it proved that all men have to die? If it is not proved, then that's a belief. And I tell you that these are all beliefs, because we cannot see all. We can see whatever the persons in the history were there, they died, we know, but we cannot see all persons. We cannot see every matter. We cannot see every heavy thing. So if we generalize to all, these are generalizations to universal statements, and these are called inductive reasonings. But this is a course on philosophy of science, so there I should point out that it's not enough to generalize. It is also necessary that we generalize from experience if we want to make a scientific statement. Now, for example, I said that all heavy things fall to the ground when released. This is generalization of events that I or you have seen. Now here the word is important. We have our experience that we have seen that all the heavy things when released they fell to the ground. Whatever was the number, it was a finite number, but it was finite number of experiences were in our actual experience. And from there we generalize to something, and that has connection with the observation experience and generalization. Both elements are there, and that is an example of a scientific statement. But that doesn't mean that all scientific statements are of this kind. But this one way of getting scientific statement is this, that you generalize from observations. This is an indicator of an observation. You have seen things for you. Now, if you compare this reasoning, this namely inductive reasoning, with the logic, there are commons and there are differences. Common is that in both cases, the logic and inductive reasoning, you have a subset and superset. And I told you, some people say that they call logic as deductive logic, and they call inductive reasoning as inductive logic. And I tell you the reason that I don't like this labeling. But if you have heard to that, then yes, at least I verify. Yes, we are talking about same thing, which many people call through inductive and deductive logic. But I don't use the word logic. I tell you reasons why. But I agree that if a logic you want to say deductive logic and inductive reasoning, if you compare what happened in logic, or if you call deductive logic, was that what the rule we knew for a superset, the rule was applied on a subset. So the input was a superset, and we got conclusion or output for a subset. But here you see, here our input that we knew before that. That is about finite number of things, few things or many things or so. So these are this is the input, that is your premise, and that is a subset, and we generalize to superset. So output is bigger than input. Now, is that proved? If you know a rule about few things, can this rule be logically proved for all things? Not. So this the topic of this lecture is not inductive proofs, but is inductive reasoning. Now, meanwhile, I tell you one thing, that maybe I will not get a chance to define the word reason in this, maybe the whole course, but it's because there's no clear-cut definition of reason that I can teach you. But if you want me introducing the word reason, then I think the best you can get from me is that you try to pay attention how I use the word reason in lectures. I mean, for example, this is the way the most of the physics students know about physics. I don't think the teachers start physics education by defining the word physics. But the teacher use the word physics so many times, the students do get a very good idea what physics is. So that's what you should do about reason. Just pay attention to what reason, what the word reason is being used for. For example, logic is reason, science is reasonable, and the other things as well I should have, or maybe I will later call reasons. And this is another example. Inductive is reason, even if it is not proved, but it's reasonable to generalize. So that's pay attention to the word. The word reason and the way I'm using it. So an example of reason is inductive reasoning. And as I told you, and now I just show that pinpoint even in symbols, that in inductive reasoning you generalize, but you do not introduce any new concept or new theory. You just take your data, and data has some limitations, and you remove limitations, but do not make any other change. So that's a crucial. If you have made any other changes, and if you have introduced a new scientific theory which is a very general, which is comprehensive, then that is science. That is maybe a very good science, but that is not inductive reasoning. In inductive reasoning, you don't make any other change. What is common? You keep it. The only thing is, so far we knew it metal 1, metal 2, metal 3 as a time 1, time 2, time 3. Now these are a few. We replace this with all metal. No other change. That is inductive reasoning. This was this and that. That was replaced with all. But you see no other change. And if you think it's always science, inductive reasoning, then I warn you. Some examples are there, you remain thinking that is science or not. The metal example is science, but for example, I consider another example that a person comes to the library. You saw the person coming to the library on maybe Monday and Wednesday and Tuesday and the next week also. You saw it, for example, 7 or 8 days. Even if you have seen it, I put it 2, consecutively for 9 days, or most of the days, and these are few, and you generalize and you say the person comes every day. You have done it. The limited thing you have replaced with every, and you have made no other changes. So that is inductive reasoning. But that is a science or not, you remain thinking. This is certainly not physical science. This is not a natural science in the sense that all metals expand when heated. That is a physical science. But when a person comes to the library every day, it may be at most a social science, and that is, social science will also make some requirements. For example, requirements could be that the person should be in library staff. Otherwise, if the random person comes to many days, then maybe even social sciences will not include these kind of generalization. But anyway, just I've shown you a variety now. And the thing is, which I have spoken, but now I clearly write as well, if you did not pay attention or not, that the question has been that is inductive reasoning proved? And the answer is it is not, because our input is limited and we have generalized to output. We know about 10 things. How can I prove that they are valid for 100 things? So, or all things. So that is not proved, and that is why it is called inductive reasoning, not inductive logic. So, and if you want a reference that is not, if you are not convinced by just a picture, then a reference is there. I mean, the book which I think mentioned before as well. is a well-reputed book on philosophy of science. The title is "What is this thing called science?" by Chalmers, and that is the fourth edition, page 41, has clearly written on that as well. If you are in need of, 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 a, of a reference, and the same reference, namely Chalmers, has also in the same pages or maybe next page a list of conditions that make good inductive reasoning. And before showing the list, the thing what good means, and Chalmers I think has not clearly said it, but I think it's understood the way examples are formulated in Chalmers or maybe other examples as well. That good means it has more chances, and the technical word in physics or mathematical science is that chance is written as probability. So if it has more chances, it's probable, more probable, or you may say it has more probability, or you may say the word probable, and that is normally understood to be having more probability. Anyway, this different people may have some opinion about it. They may have some good other definitions of good, but I think no other definition comes to my mind. Whatever it is, good. If it is, if inductive reasoning is good, that this is good to rely on that, then that should be generalization from more number of observations. If you have many things and you say that, for example, if you have many pillars and you say that there are many pillars are black, and you say all pillars are black, and if it is a large number of pillars, then that you have a good, your reasoning is better. And here another condition could be that for good inductive reasoning is that your observation could be in a variety of conditions. Here the variety could be different floors, but in general variety could be, for example, if you are in an area where the education is not very common, and you see that no person around you has more education than, say, American high school, or English A level, or India Pakistani, you can say intermediate education. So education is limited for a large number of persons that you know it in your surrounding, if you are in a certain region which is where education level is not high. And you say that all persons in the world or all persons in this country have lesser education, then even if your sample had 100 or 1000 of persons, your conclusion was not very good one, because your sample was limited to a region which has less education, and you have generalized without taking sample from a variety. So that's, I think, is a better thing, something like social scientists know it, that if your sample should have a variety, only then you should claim that you have come up with a new kind of suggestive knowledge or inductive reasoning. Another thing is that there should be no violation. If a rule is there, you say everything has that, but one person doesn't have that means your every claim for every is not right. So these conditions are written in the Chalmers, the next page. Previously, in the previous slide, I've made page 41, and these are 42 and 43. But there is another condition which could be, and that which is not written in Chalmers there, but it is scattered in Chalmers in other places, is that you think scientific statements, for example, all heavy things fall to the ground or all metal expand on heating, they fulfill these three conditions which I mentioned. But sometimes something else, which a statement is all crows are black, and that may fulfill the three conditions as well. That you should have maybe you have seen many crows and under a variety of conditions in different countries. Maybe you have gone to different countries or you have seen it through internet or so, and suppose you don't know any violation. And if you know any violation of that, if you know any crow which is not black, then you change example. For example, in that case, you make example that all gold pieces have a mass less than 100 or maybe 1,000 tons. The idea is not that you start talking about whether actually these things are true or not. The idea is that if, the crucial word is if your whole knowledge says that a generalization is valid, then is there any difference between a scientific statement and a generalization which had no, I mean, these are all crows are black or all gold pieces have mass less than 1,000, that has no scientific basis. That they are accidental regularities. But in comparison, this is on your left are scientific statements. So what is the difference between those examples? You can say that for the first scientific statement, but that's good or bad about a philosophy course. That will not be satisfied by just saying that, because a philosophy course has to ask what is science. And so far we have not defined science in this course. The next lecture is on scientific method, but so far not. So far I have talked about observations only. So if you say, if you answer as what is these are scientific statements, what I say that you should answer in terms of observational or logical terms. Logic may be calculations. So if you try that, then one answer, these are the requirements, either observation or logic, and then you try to tell what is the difference between accidental regularities and scientific statements. Can you think of that? You can take your time pausing, but I have to show you the answer. And that answer could be that scientific statements are members of a coherent system of regularities. That means if you say accidental regularity, that is an isolated statement. That is only about crows. For example, this statement is not valid about any other animal or so. If the crows are black, you can't get any idea what would be the color of other animals. But here, in case of science, if all heavy things fall to the ground, that gives you, that is a part of a system which are statements resulting from the theory of gravitation. So it's a part of a set, which is a set, namely implications of theory of gravitation. This set is coherent. There are many statements in that. It has a statement of all everything fall to the ground, and it has a statement that sun is Earth revolves around sun, and then moon revolves around Earth, and satellites are governed by gravitation law, and so on. There are many statements which make a big system. So the scientific statements are part of a big consistent system. So if you have to reject, not only one statement. You have to reject a big set of many statements. Wherein in comparison to accidental regularity, if you reject one statement, that's it. This is not a part of a big system, big coherent system. So that's all I have to say in this lecture, and I conclude and I finish. And the conclusion is that I talked about generalization, and in preparation for the next lecture, I say that generalization from observation to scientific rules, they can have a variety, and sometimes they involve a new kind of concept, new kind of comprehensive theory, general theories. But sometimes your generalization is that you have only done a straightforward thing, in that your knowledge, so far knowledge, or your previous knowledge input had a limitation, and you said that I believe in generalization, but you don't make any other change. This kind of generalization is called inductive reasoning. And it's a reasoning because this is not logic, because this is not proved. But this can be good or bad, and I've told you when it is good, when it is bad, and I've discussed what good might means and what good might means. And toward the end, I have started the topic of making a distinction between accidental regularities, like all crows are black, or all gold mines are so and so, gold pieces are so, and scientific statements, which you know many one. And that was not actually, the topic was not finished, that I only introduced a challenge for philosophy of science. So the three were there, and you can take at fourth as well. These are 3 or 4 conditions I talked about. Whether what can be what generalization, what inductive reasoning can be good or bad. That was all in this lecture. Thank you for watching it.